Well, I hope to God that eventually we find out that maybe Caitlin Clark was asked to do this and maybe she said no. Because if that's not the case, then the WNBA and the Players Association, the WNBA PA, and the league, to be honest, continue to disrespect the far and away biggest draw that this women's hoops league's got that they've ever seen.
Just picture this. You're the biggest name in the league, smashing records, packing out arenas, and still, you get sidelined like a rookie intern when it's time to roll out new merch. That's exactly what just happened to Caitlin Clark. The WNBA Players Union dropped their latest merch campaign, and guess who's front and center? Aja Wilson and Angel Reese. No Caitlin. Now the internet is exploding. Fans are calling it a snub, a statement, or straight up sabotage. Is this a calculated power move by the league, a petty flex from the vets, or just a massive marketing fail dressed up in team colors? Either way, grab your popcorn, because this drama is hotter than front row seats at a Liberty game.
Jealousy and sheer incompetence are going to be the three main reasons why the WNBA never reaches the popularity, never reaches the shine that they think they deserve. Stubbornness, incompetence, and jealousy are going to be the reasons why Caitlin Clark remains at the mountaintop and nobody else ends up even being close to joining her up there, and it's all the WNBA, the players, the executives, Kathy Engelbert. It is all their fault. They're far too jealous. They're far too stubborn. And from a business sense, they are all far too incompetent. What am I talking about?
They could have crowned Caitlin Clark on day one, gave her the throne, the keys to the league, and a warehouse stacked with sold-out merch. But nope. Instead, the WNBA Players Union pulled off a move so blatant, it might as well have come with a neon sign saying, "We'd rather burn the ship than let her captain it," when they dropped their brand new merch campaign and somehow left out the biggest name and top seller the league has ever had. Fans didn't need a press release to get the message. This wasn't about branding. This was a petty play, dressed up as team spirit, served cold with a smile.
Their biggest draw, their biggest revenue churner, the biggest ratings, viewership draw, attendance draw, the whole, if it's a draw, Caitlin Clark's bringing them in droves and lined up to come in the door. I'm awaiting a record, some kind of a record rating for her return the other day against the Liberty. I'm awaiting for that viewership rating to come in for television. I got a question. If you were going to market a product and the WNBA was going to be officially involved in it, would Caitlin Clark not be the number one overall draft pick that you would have? Well, to the Players Association and the people involved with it, I guess not. And this is baffling to me. It's terrible business. It is failed business.
Let's set the record straight. Caitlin Clark didn't pass on this opportunity. She didn't ghost anyone. She wasn't off somewhere draining logo threes or signing baby gear. She simply never got the invite. Because let's be real, if she had been included in that merch launch, her collection would have vanished before most people even finished their morning coffee. Meanwhile, the others, their stuff would have sat online like the last pack of weird gum at the checkout, untouched and unbought.
WNBA Players Union chooses Angel Reese over Caitlin Clark in social media posts. Now, to be fair to Angel Reese, it wasn't just Angel Reese. It was everybody not named Caitlin Clark. It was everybody the old guard thinks is a star, not named Caitlin Clark. This is absolutely pathetic, absolutely embarrassing, and we are going to show you why momentarily. WNBA's Players Union chooses Angel Reese over Caitlin Clark in social media post originally appeared on Athlon Sports. Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark and Chicago Sky forward Angel Reese have not exactly had fortunate starts to the 2025 WNBA season.
And that right there is the real issue. It's not that Caitlin Clark is stirring up drama. It's not that she's a rookie. It's that she's winning. She's the one whose jersey sells like it's the last drop of a sneaker collab. She's the reason seats are full, screens are lit, and ratings are breaking records. The visuals, spotless. The money, even better. But the emotions, that's where it all falls apart. Because when Caitlin's merch flies off the shelves while the rest gathers digital cobwebs, it's no longer about togetherness. It's about truth. And that's what they're really trying to hide.
I'm just in shock. I'm in shock. So you've got a lot of the biggest names in the entire WNBA here. You've got Aja, you've got Kelsey Plum, you've got Paige Beckers, you've got Angel Reese, you've got Fee, you've got Cameron Brink, you've got Sabrina. So you've got a lot of the bigger names, if not the biggest names. The biggest names in the entire WNBA right here. And who's not there? It's Caitlin Clark. And if you guys have not seen this right here, FM cases and the WNBPA. The WNBPA. So this is 3 days old. I got sent this email today. I actually, in fairness, I did see a tweet, not including the most popular player. This is how much they hate Caitlin misspelled.
So instead of boosting the wave that could lift the entire league, they acted like it never hit. Genius, right? It's like throwing a birthday bash and forgetting the cake, because you're worried it'll overshadow the napkins. Let's be real, no one shows up for the crust. Caitlin Clark is the flavor, and now the league wants to pretend flavor doesn't count, unless it checks the right political boxes. But this isn't about race. It's not about who can throw down in warm-ups. It's about what happens when greatness crashes through the front door without waiting for permission. When someone rewrites the rules with pure talent, relentless grind, and logo range precision, and the system has no clue whether to cheer or hit the panic button. Caitlin didn't sneak up on anyone. They saw her coming. They just didn't want her to arrive. And now that she's here, they're tripping over themselves trying to ignore it, without admitting she's flipping the script. So what's the move? Apparently it's quiet exclusion, wrapped in corporate PR and fear. Aja Wilson and Angel Reese got the spotlight. And sure, they're stars. They've got talent, charisma, loyal fans. But leaving Caitlin out, that wasn't an oversight. That was strategy.
The exact abuse that they're giving Caitlin Clark right now to Sabrina Ionescu. Like, let's be real, you can look, if you read what some of these things have said about Sabrina Ionescu before Caitlin Clark walked in the league, but now they have their new bully victim. And it's so funny looking at it where you're like, all these, it's so clear that these people, it's just an anti-Caitlin people, because it's like an enemy of my enemy is my friend, where it's like they are these individual pages where you look at the players they hype up, and Paige Beckers, and by the way, by all accounts, Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark are friends. They'll have their profile's Angel Reese, and the players are going to hype up as Paige Beckers because she is a rival to Caitlin Clark. And let's be real, that's an actual rivalry. Paige Beckers is really damn good.
Let's not kid ourselves. This decision wasn't some random oversight. It was a calculated move to keep the merch spotlight equal, even if it meant ignoring the one player who would have outsold the rest of the roster combined. Because heaven forbid a rookie white girl from Iowa makes the numbers look lopsided. And that's the real shame here. This wasn't just a fumbled marketing moment. It was a reflection of the league's deepest insecurity. They say they want growth, they want headlines, they want revenue, but only if it happens their way, their script, their pace. And Caitlin Clark, she's not reading from their script. She walked in, lit up the scoreboard, broke the mold, and unintentionally called out the whole system. Instead of riding the wave she brought in, they're busy poking holes in the boat, while waving at the camera like everything's fine. This isn't strategy. This is someone tipping over the chessboard mid-game, then yelling checkmate like they've won. The league can spin this any way they want. Talk about representation, diversity, or whatever buzzword makes this exclusion sound noble. But let's not pretend people didn't notice. They saw it. They felt it. You don't bench your biggest star and call it progress. That's not inclusion. That's sabotage dressed up in social language. And here's the part they don't want to say out loud. If this was really about fairness, Caitlin Clark would have been front and center. But instead, they sent a quieter message. You can be special, just not too special. Not too soon. Not too loud. It's the same tired tune we've heard before. Only now it's playing courtside.
Clark had another, whatever you want to call it, confrontation in a WNBA game. Like, why is this happening? The Caitlin Clark phenomenon is one that I got wrong. I never really thought that Caitlin Clark would make the difference that she has in college basketball or in the WNBA. What other sports analogies are out there that are in any way similar to the impact that one individual has had on a larger sporting universe? Tiger was...
Be great, but don't overshadow the vets. Break records, but keep it low-key. Sell out arenas, but try not to make anyone else look bad. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark keeps doing what she does, smiling, showing up, and casually sinking logo threes like she's shooting in her driveway. She's the momentum they can't stop, the storm they keep pretending isn't coming, and instead of riding the wave, the league's trying to patch the cracks with some weak PR spin. It's almost comedic, like watching someone insist everything's fine while standing in front of a burning scoreboard. The more she dominates, the louder the silence gets. Not because she's wrong, but because she's undeniable. And the real twist? This snub only made her more unstoppable. That merch launch may have been an attempt to box her out, but it ended up being a perfect case study in how not to treat your biggest star. Fans noticed, sponsors noticed, the media noticed, the only ones acting blind. The same people who thought this slick little omission would sneak by like a no-look pass. Spoiler, it didn't. It backfired, big time. But the WNBA keeps choosing politics over performance. Instead of doubling down on a once-in-a-generation opportunity, they're handing out participation points and ignoring the scoreboard. Instead of fueling the fire Caitlin started, they're pretending it's not even burning. Like fans can't see what's right in front of them. Like we don't know the difference between hype and hard numbers. Like we can't check jersey sales, ratings, and ticket demand with a single click. So let's not sugarcoat this. This wasn't an innocent oversight. This wasn't a scheduling mix-up. This was intentional, and the message couldn't be clearer. You can shatter every record in the book, but unless you play the game their way, on their terms, you'll always be kept just outside the spotlight.
I don't know what exact... So one play with people in this CT don't include... It genuinely seems like everybody going mad about this. So this only started happening around the last day. But at the end of the day, look, the WNBPA can do whatever they want, I guess. And if this case is with the WNBPA, as far as I'm aware, players' rights are not done separately. I think the WNBPA come to an agreement, can come to like mass agreements like what they did with NBA 2K. With this saying it was an agreement with the WNBPA, knowing how the negotiations work with NBA 2K, with the players' associations and stuff, and again, I could be very wrong with this, but I don't think this is something that'll be on an individual by individual basis. I hope I'm wrong.
Caitlin Clark didn't just break the mold. She threw it out and wrote her own script. And that's exactly why she's been sidelined from a campaign that should have had her face front and center. Because if she was included, the numbers wouldn't lie, and that truth would have bruised more than a few egos. So instead, they pulled the plug, acted like her rise was some kind of fluke, like she stumbled into the league and accidentally picked up millions of fans along the way. But let's be real. The only thing Caitlin Clark stumbled over was the fragile structure of a system designed to protect the status quo. And fans, they aren't buying the spin. They see who's lighting up the scoreboard. They know who's selling out arenas. They feel the energy, the star power, the unmatched range. No amount of carefully crafted PR or manufactured narratives can erase the simple truth. Caitlin Clark is the moment. The league can either get on board or keep dropping the ball. Honestly, with the way they're treating her, she might be better off signing with a EuroLeague team, because the WNBA couldn't be more obvious. They don't want her anywhere near the spotlight she's already earned. The face of sold-out games, viral clips, and record-breaking merch is somehow being cast as a supporting character. While they prop up two of the most polarizing figures the league's ever tried to brand as the future.
Her first game back against the Liberty, where she scored 25 points in the first half, had LeBron James tweeting about her, and also sending her direct messages, apparently. They beat the Liberty, who was previously undefeated, 9-0. The game Saturday afternoon on ABC, and 21 million people watched the game. Now, according to Nielsen, that is the most watched WNBA game. Now, this all comes on the heels of ratings being down, viewership being down 55%. I want to get this exactly right. I have this all written down here, lucky for you guys. So This story broke last week, but I want to weave it all in as we talk about this topic. Nationally televised WNBA viewership is down 55% since Caitlin Clark's injury.
And yes, we're talking about Aja Wilson and Angel Reese. Two players the WNBA keeps trying to turn into headline material through forced hype and courtside theatrics. They've become more known for viral antics than actual dominance, drawing more side eyes than standing ovations. So when the Players Union had a golden opportunity to launch a merch campaign that could have exploded in sales, who did they choose? Yup. The duo whose jerseys are collecting dust in cities they actually play for. You almost have to admire the commitment to ignoring the one thing everyone else can see clear as day. Caitlin Clark isn't just a rising star. She's the biggest name in American sports right now. Bigger than your favorite dunker, bigger than Sunday quarterbacks, bigger than the guy giving fake humble interviews in luxury fashion spreads. She is the moment, the cultural pulse, the trending topic, the name your grandma knows, even if she still thinks WNBA is a radio station.
What happens when a white girl joins a majority black league? Her coming to the league brings more viewers, more ad money. The Caitlin Clark tide is going to, if embraced, rise all boats. The majority in the league, which is black women, has done everything they can to not welcome Caitlin Clark to the league.
But no. Instead of celebrating the brightest star in the sky, they chose to play it safe under the clouds. They hitched their hopes to players who generate more social media debates than actual ticket demand. Why wasn't Caitlin Clark included in that merch drop? Because her presence would have wiped out the competition. And that's not an opinion, it's basic math. Put Caitlin's name on a jersey next to anyone else's, and suddenly the rest starts looking like leftover clearance stock at a rainy flea market. So no. She wasn't left out because she said no. She was left out because her numbers are too big, her impact too real, and her popularity too threatening to ignore. It's kind of poetic, really. The WNBA tripping over itself just to prove a point no one asked for. They could ride this wave, plaster Caitlin's face on every ad, launch lunchboxes, posters, and primetime spots, and finally cash in on the momentum they've been chasing for years. But instead, pride over profit, egos over expansion, politics over pure success. They'd rather struggle for relevance than thrive with Caitlin in the spotlight. Let's be honest, this was never about fairness or inclusion. It was about cushioning fragile reputations from the harsh truth of merit. Because if Caitlin's merch outsold everyone 10-1, and it wouldn't just show how popular she is, it would expose just how stale the old system really is. And instead of admitting she is the future, they're pretending she's just a temporary flash, a moment, a highlight reel with a smile. Yeah? Brilliant strategy.
Your NBA guys, because they are allowing this to happen, the key to this whole thing was having the girls act professional and having the media do a cover for them. Well, what happens when the girls are coming out of script? What happens when the black people sitting courtside at the Atlanta Dream game, right, don't see a problem with how hard Caitlin Clark is getting fouled and they yelling, "This is Atlanta. This is Atlanta. You ain't gonna come in here and do that." What happens when Angel Reese scores 2 points, right? 8 offensive rebounds on her own missed shot, 12 rebounds total. What's happening when the people decide to...
It would almost be funny if it wasn't so painfully obvious, like a 5-star restaurant hiding its best meal just to spare the feelings of the appetizers. Sure, Aja Wilson has game, and Angel Reese, she keeps her name in the headlines, even if it's not always for what happens on the court, but trying to manufacture mass appeal while sidelining the most beloved athlete in the country. That's not strategy, that's pure denial. Caitlin Clark didn't crash this party looking for attention. She earned it, now with buckets, not branding deals. And yet, the WNBA's marketing playbook seems to be, let's pretend average is exceptional, and hope nobody notices the star in plain sight. Too late. Every arena she walks into, packed. Every game she plays, ratings spike. Even her critics can't look away. She's not just a player, she's the force pushing the league into mainstream conversation. And somehow, instead of fueling that momentum, the league keeps throwing obstacles in her path like it's a video game. This isn't just bad PR, it's self-sabotage, and everyone sees it.
Presence, just being there, change them. That's it. Like, you can sit here and come up with 1,000 different reasons for why. There's one why. That makes 2. One why, one why, one why. And it's Caitlin Clark. She is the why. She is the reason. She is the box office. She is the game changer. She is that woman. She is her. Her performance.
The irony couldn't be more glaring. For years, the WNBA shouted for attention, begging for bigger audiences, better coverage, and real respect. Now they finally have it, but because that spotlight is shining on a lethal shooter from Iowa, a generational talent who keeps her head down and lets her game speak, suddenly it's an issue. Now it's too much, too fast, and not the right image. If this league were run like a serious business, Caitlin Clark would already have a signature sneaker, her own merch line, and a 7-figure marketing push behind her. Instead, she's being cropped out of group campaigns like her success is a threat to the rest of the roster. Let's call this what it is. Not inclusion, not fairness, fear. Fear that the storyline they've spent years crafting is being rewritten by someone who didn't wait for their permission to dominate. But here's the twist. Leaving Caitlin out doesn't dim her star. It just exposes the league's insecurity louder than ever. The fans still buy tickets. The cameras still follow her every move. The media can't stop talking about her because the numbers don't lie, and neither do sold out arenas. And every time someone asks, why isn't Caitlin Clark front and center? The silence from the league gets more awkward than a locker room after a 40-point blowout.
That's why they're thinking. But it's like, listen, Caitlin Clark is a big pop for you guys. She's selling out stadiums. You guys are moving to different areas to play bigger stadiums so you can fit some more people. Why don't the WNBA players accept that, right? And then it puts a shine. Caitlin Clark, you could say, is just a catalyst, right? She's just a little stone that's shining brightly.
Steph Curry at the WNBA.
Right, it's shining bright.
Maybe it's time to look overseas, to a league where politics don't smother performance, where jerseys fly off shelves because of talent, not agendas, where the star of the show isn't treated like an awkward extra at her own premiere. Because let's be real, the WNBA is actively fumbling the greatest opportunity it's ever had, and the longer this charade continues, the more obvious it becomes. Caitlin Clark is the reason the merch is moving. She's why the headlines keep rolling in. She's the spark that's packing arenas with parents, kids, and fans who couldn't name a single WNBA starter 12 months ago. And if the respect isn't coming from within these walls, there's a global stage more than ready to roll out the red carpet, a place that knows what to do with a once-in-a-generation player. Because here's the truth, so it's hard to sell a revolution when the face of it is being told to sit down and stay quiet.